Everyone, welcome back. Thrilling, really thrilling stuff that we're talking about today, which is how to price your house right now if you're going to be selling it. And what that really has to do with is a price that you are confident it can appraise for, okay? So let's just do a little crash course on this, because where we are right now, right? You know, I'm filming this in technically on Halloween, but where we are right now is very different than we were 8 to 12 months ago, okay, where you could basically price your house at whatever you want and it was going to sell for $50,000 more than that. Really different times right now. So here's the challenge that we're running into. I've got a few different clients that, for whatever reason, right now is when they're deciding they would like to sell their house, or at least they're interested in it. We'll see once the dust settles. But the challenge is this: there's very few comps, aka comparable sales. Now, why does a comp matter? Because an appraiser is like one of the two very important people when it comes to a deal going through. The inspector and the appraiser are very two important people. The appraiser ultimately is going to be looking at the same data that we, the agents, are looking at to determine what your house is worth. The difference is the appraisers are going to be digging deeper, right? They're just going to be doing basically the same thing that we're doing. They're just going to be going harder on it, right? And just digging in quite a bit more. And the challenge that appraisers and agents are having right now is there's just not very many things selling right now. There's not a lot that's for sale. And the stuff that is for sale is taking a long time to close. So when I went to look at comps for a friend's house recently, I'm just like, man, truthfully, there was nothing that was great. So you're trying to take some educated guesses based on the data that you've got, but the data isn't super relevant. So, but I came up with a number that I thought was probably about right. And then I went to look at active listings to see, are there any very comparable active listings? And if so, where did they price the house? And there happened to be one that was very similar to that house, and it was priced right what I thought it would be. So you go, okay, well, at least someone agreed with me on what the value of a house like this would be. The problem is, right now, that because things take longer to sell, you never get more, I shouldn't say never, but virtually you never get more money for your house the longer it sits on the market. The longer it sits, the lower the offers are going to be. So after 2 weeks, someone's probably going to discount the price a little bit because they're like, I don't know, it's been around for 2 weeks. After a month, number's probably going to get a little bit more aggressive in terms of what they discount it. That thing's been around for 90 days and it's still for sale. You're going to be getting some sharky offers now. Like you're going to be getting some shit where you're like, you're mad about it. And yet, if you were on the buyer end, you almost have to respect the hustle, where it's like, I'd probably do the same thing. So it's a tricky time right now. And the other reality is, so your agent's going to take their best guess on what your house is worth, okay? Then it's going to wind up under contract eventually with a buyer who's going to offer whatever the price is that they're going to offer, and you guys are going to come to whatever that number is that you believe to be accurate. The challenge is going to wind up being this: whatever it appraises at, you need to assume that is the new price that you are going to get for that house, because no buyer, particularly in their right mind, in this sort of real estate climate, which is now a somewhat heavily favored buyer's market, no one, if let's just say the house appraised at 600, but you were under contract at 620, no buyer in their right mind right now is going to be like, yeah, we'll just give you the extra 20 grand, because they're like, no one else's house is selling, so we'll just go get one of those. Like, they basically have their pick of the litter right now. So the reality is, whatever the house price it winds up appraising at, that is what you're going to get stuck paying, unless you want to cancel the deal, right? Which you could do as the seller. You could say, well, no, we're not going to come to terms on this, so we're going to cancel it, and we're going to find someone who is going to pay 620, but it's worth 600. No one's going to do that right now, right? And again, now it's back on the market. It's now going to be public knowledge that it was under contract and it fell through, which means, again, the offers are going to get more and more sharky. So 99% of the time, guys, the first offer that you wind up getting and wind up under contract on, that is the one. Like, do virtually anything you can to keep that deal together. Because canceling it and going back to the market to find someone else and re-dealing with inspections and appraisals and all that kind of stuff, it does not help you. Like, all that happens over time is the number gets lower and lower, okay? So it's a harsh reality, guys. Your agents are going to do their best to price your house appropriately right now, or at least they should. You as the seller just have to understand the rules of the game are different right now. And there's not a lot of comps. It is tougher on our end to figure out what your house is worth. And if it appraises low, you're stuck, okay? You're stuck probably taking less than you wanted to get for that house. On the note of whiskey, so this actually, this would still qualify as, bourbon. So when I was in Kentucky recently, one of the distilleries I went to is called Glenn's Creek. It used to be, it's almost like, it's like an old distillery they like just opened up, and it's literally two guys that run it. It was my wild card, right? I was like, I don't know, I just want to see something that's like super rustic and like kind of run down. And it's like literally two guys that run the whole thing. And it was really cool because they do all this experimental stuff. So this amazing COB stands for corn only bourbon, AKA bourbon has to be at least 51% corn in order to qualify as bourbon. If it's 51% rye, now it counts as a rye whiskey, and so on. But a bourbon can be purely corn, right? No rye, no malted barley, no wheat, nothing. And so this is 100% corn that is still aged in that new char oak barrel. And I thought it was going to be really flat and really uninteresting, and it was actually pretty neat. So I picked up a bottle while I was there, and it just kind of cool. You know, the one of the two guys, you know, the two owners signed it and put a little, you know, he wrote Jacob instead of Jake for some reason, but he said Jacob cheers, and he you know, put the date and everything. It's cool. I like stuff like that. But anyway, corn only bourbon. It's one of those things that's a little bit different. It's obviously sweeter because it's corn only, but worth a shot if you're ever trying to do something different. With that said, we will go ahead and wrap up the show. If you guys need real estate help at any point, please let us know. We would love to help you with that. We have a crack squad of agents all over the United States of America that would be happy to help you with your real estate deal. So please let us know if we can do that. Otherwise, subscribe to the channel. Stick around and we'll drop some more little real estate vids on you. See you guys.